It's a pre-recorded edition of Connor Stakes as we're heading into the weekend with a bang because what is game of the year potential is this weekend is Bills at Ravens. It should be a fun game in Baltimore. Weather wise doesn't look too good. 70% chance of rain, all due to the hurricane that's about to hit Florida just within the within the hours here on a Thursday night, but the remaining effects is going to hit further north past Florida. It's going to cause some rain issues. It looks like on Sunday night, but
Oh, great. I already
always
had to
in
go through it once. I'm literally sitting here 3 hours from now before the hurricane slams my area of Florida. It's already starting to show up around here outside my house. I can literally see the trees flying around like crazy. So, hopefully
yeah.
a tree branch doesn't go through my window while we're doing a
Oh
recording.
no.
I would rather not
I,
have to get up and try to fix a window, but yeah, it should be an interesting game. I actually didn't think about the hurricane going up that far. Oh, great. We need to get the Floridian Bills fans up to Baltimore like right now if that's the case. Teach the team how to handle a hurricane the right way instead of doing it the
As of right now in Baltimore, as of Thursday night, it says on the Weather Channel, it said 66 degrees, 72% chance of rain, and it doesn't tell. It says the rain could be about a quarter of an inch. So there's going to be some pretty. uh, Just based off this, I'm not a meteorologist here. I'm just sitting here talking to you through my phone off here. It looks like there's might be some heavy rain at times during the game, but nothing that the Bills are not used to because it seems like every time they go to Baltimore, there is some sort of rain issue. Because last time they were in Baltimore, I believe it was last year, the year prior, uh, there was that game was played during through some rain. So it's not something that the Bills are they're accustomed to the rain in Baltimore, but never want to play weather game, especially in a important game in September, but always gets you ready to go for the rest of the year because again, the Bills play in Buffalo, they have to deal with weather all the time. So
of a
weather
different
always
variety.
a very different variety. This is cool with rain. Buffalo, it's cold with snow.
Mhm.
All right, let's
And,
get into our
yeah, it should be a very interesting matchup. If you got the rain involved now, then you're going to make something of it, and I think it's just a little bit more spice. Spice that ironically would help both teams.
honestly, this kind of the rain probably plays into the Ravens' favor here because they have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, where they can just use this as an advantage to them as make this a running the football type of game, low scoring. That's all the games that Baltimore has played throughout this season is low scoring football, run the football. So if it's going to rain and it continues to hold up as there's going to be rain during the game, it makes me worry just a little bit to see because how the rain will play into the effect of Joe Brady's offense
Eh,
and, dealing with weather for the first time in his offense, but also, you know, it just how the Baltimore Ravens stylistically plays.
we've got Josh Allen and James Cook, we'll be fine.
There we go.
I'm not worried. If it gets if the hurricane decides it's gonna dump a torrent of rain on this game, then I just hope Josh Allen and James Cook practice their handoffs because they're gonna be doing a
Mhm.
lot of it. And,
Absolutely.
make sure Connor McGovern can snap the football properly, which he has so far, but he'll desperately need to be able to snap the football properly in the case of a torrential downpour. But,
Absolutely.
you had some interesting topics for this one, Paul. I wanna get to these, and that's not because I'm worried my power might flop any minute now, but these actually are some genuine questions that
Mhm.
deserve to be answered, so let's get to them. Hit me. That first one, I know.
One
I knew you were thinking of me when you made it, so hit me.
Well, it's been a small topic throughout the Bills circles when it first arrived on Monday night, where you didn't see Keon Coleman for the entirety of that first quarter. According to Sean McDermott, at the end of the game, says Keon Coleman was benched for being late. What do you make of the Keon Coleman benching?
I love it. If I'm being completely honest, I actually really love that Sean McDermott benched him like that. What it shows is that he's trying to make Keon Coleman more of a dedicated team player and showing him you do what we tell you to do or you're not going to play at all. You don't see that in a lot of locker rooms in some more dysfunctional franchises. They'll just allow people to do this and do that and do whatever. So the fact that McDermott pretty much told Keon you're sitting out a few drives in the first quarter because you were late shows that he's trying to meld Keon into the culture, and I love it. Make him more of a disciplined football player. So I wish he would do that with everyone. Like, please, not just because the fact that Keon Coleman is a rookie. No, do that with everyone. Someone, even a team captain, is late to a meeting. Just bench him. I mean, granted, let's not do that to Josh Allen. We don't want Mitch Trubisky in for a half, but in Keon's case, it was actually quite justifiable. So I really like that McDermott decided to do this. I'm just hoping now that let's see. Now I'm just hoping that he learned the lesson from it and that he becomes a better person on top of being a better football player. And he's already a great person. We are
Mhm.
all very aware of that. Us in the FSU side of things, we were well more aware of that before he showed up in Buffalo. So we kind of got to show you, we kind of got to say, yeah, we already knew coming in. So it's going to be a good learning experience for Keon. And hopefully it just continues to allow him to meld into the culture a lot more by getting benched by McDermott for being late. And like I said, for any rookie, I hope he keeps doing it. None of our rookies, save Keon, are seeing the field that often anyway. You know, Ray Davis doesn't really see the field much. Dwayne Carter, I don't believe, really sees the field that much. Javon Solomon didn't really see the field that much. I believe, yeah, Javon Solomon's a rookie,
He is a rookie, yeah.
drafted free agent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the fact is, if any of them do the same thing, then yeah, I think McDermott should continue to make an example out of all of them, seeing as, they really don't have all the playing time. It's not like they're a locked in starter. So,
Right.
but anyway, that was my take. I love it, and I hope that he keeps doing it. And we'll see what Keon actually winds up changing because of whatever McDermott decided to do. And I doubt he'll be late for a while.
Javon Solomon was the 5th round Bills rookie, and to know he might have some sort of connection to this hurricane because he's from Tallahassee, so
Oh dear God.
maybe it makes sense for the rain on Sunday. Just, make this sports related, instead of weather related heading into Sunday. But I do agree with you. You want to start teaching you rookies some NFL responsibilities. And one way to do that is if you're late to a meeting or you're late to a practice or you're late to even to a start of a football game, you know, sit. You're gonna sit. And what Keon Coleman did after he sat, he scored his first career NFL touchdown. So he took
Mhm.
that negative of being benched in the first half and he flipped it into a positive, scoring his first career touchdown and says, I'm here and I'm here to stay. Honestly, I'm like, he just basically just took it and he took it as a man, he took it as a football player, and he says, you couldn't count on me for accountability because I'm going to sit in the first half and then I'm going to back it up with a touchdown. So that's that felt to me that it was a statement on a statement, and Keon Coleman will learn from this, and I feel like this will make him a better football player.
Oh,
He'll probably
absolutely.
get away with this more often with a rookie
Mhm.
than if you talk about, like a 6-year veteran who's late maybe 2, 3 times. And, that might turn into a bigger story and like, oh, wait, they're benching this guy? Like, what's going on? But, early on in Keon's career, first year, second year, benching or two for being late just shows responsibility and binds you, like you said, into the Bills culture. But
Mhm.
now to the football game on Sunday. Do you buy the Ravens struggles early on in the season, or do you think this is just an early season lull and they'll be right back into shape by midseason?
It's a good one. Uh, Honestly, I'm actually kind of more amazed that Derrick Henry hasn't gotten going like I feel like people expected him to. Feel like people just expected Derrick Henry to be an immediate wrecking ball and post some like insane numbers through 3 weeks, and he really hasn't. He's been great, but he's not been like this really great addition to the Ravens offense. And I think what makes it interesting is that they're 1-2 right now, if I remember correctly, with that one win
Yes.
coming against Dallas, who is playing tonight, and we'll see how they do against the Giants. Um, I think what makes this interesting is that no, they really haven't looked good, and I kind of buy it. Their offensive line already wasn't doing a tremendous job at protecting Lamar Jackson, and now I think they've got 3 of the starters with a questionable game time status for Sunday night. And if this O line is already kind of mid and they have to dip into their depth, we
Hmm.
might see a huge game out of Groot. We might see a huge game out of Oliver. We might wind up seeing a huge game out of Von Miller. Our pass rush might have a day keeping Lamar Jackson uncomfortable, which means that you won't really have to worry too much about Christian Benford having to be the lockdown corner that he is, probably following Zay Flowers all throughout the entire course of the game. I can honestly I can buy part of the Ravens struggles, but not all of them. What happened
Hmm.
to that? What I mean, Lamar has regressed. Now, of course, it could definitely be because the O line is not good, but at the same time, he's made some good plays. I mean, they held it. I mean, they were literally a toe away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and that was the best
They
game they
were.
played all season. And then I think that loss kind of deflated them a little bit, but they're not going to be as desperate because they're 1-2. If they were 0-3, I'd be a lot more worried about this game because then they'd be playing a whole lot more desperately. They're not
Hmm.
having to play like they've got to win this game or else that's the nail in the coffin of their season. If they lose this one to the Bills, then they've still got a shot, but they've got to figure some things out. So, in a way, I buy the struggle. In a way, I don't.
Yeah, I think the Baltimore Ravens struggles. It just I would quite say it's probably more on the offensive side of the football than on the defensive side of the football right now. Defensively they seem solid. They seem pretty much intact. I mean, you look at their points per game on offense. On offense is the same. Their points per game right now, averaging right now, is 23.6 points per game. That's the same average points per game they had last season through the entirety of last season. Sorry, through the first 3 games of last season. So, offensively, they're the same as last year right now, just points per game wise, because the first 3 games match up the same way as they did last year. So, there wasn't no vast improvements on offense from the Baltimore Ravens that stands out to say, "Hey, we're a better team offensively." Yes, Derrick Henry is a nice new shiny toy, but if you don't use Derrick Henry right, it doesn't really turn into much of a weapon or a threat. If I look at Derrick Henry against the Buffalo Bills, he's currently averaging about 71 yards against the Buffalo Bills. He had that one massive game during COVID against the Buffalo Bills where the Henry and Norman the Henry Norman stiff arm GIF comes from. It comes from that massive, wildly insane Tennessee game against the Buffalo Bills during COVID. So the Ravens offense right now is just in a lull.
Oh,
Could it turn into something better during the season? Well,
yeah.
here's their next 5 games: at Cincinnati, home to Washington, at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland, home to Denver.
Don't
That's a pretty
underestimate Denver
rough.
after what they just did to Tampa Bay. Then I'm gonna wind up eating those words 5 weeks later.
So they're playing some really big defenses for the next 5 games. So if their offense doesn't figure it out, they may never figure it out based on what they have the next 5 games.
I mean, I still think they're gonna figure it out. Like 100%, they're gonna figure it out. So the point of contention is when do they figure it out? I definitely
Mhm.
don't think it's going to be by Sunday night against the Bills
No.
because they're going to have to really rely on that run game. And I'll have to do some further digging into their pass rush win rate, or not pass rush win rate, but that does matter, obviously. I'll have to do some digging into their pass block win rate and their run block win rate before the game starts because that'll determine a lot of what we might be able to do to stop them. Because the whole point to stopping Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense is just keep him uncomfortable in the pocket.
Yeah.
If you have to try to get Lamar to beat you with his arm along with his legs, you're in much better shape. So, and if the game is raining enough to where you have to rely on Lamar to pretty much only use his legs, I mean, yeah, he's going to put up some numbers. You're going to have Derrick Henry doing the same thing. I mean, just last week against the Dallas Cowboys, he had 25 carries for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. One
Mhm.
receiving, one target, one reception for 23 yards as well. I mean, he had a great game against Dallas, but Dallas's run defense is awful. Ours really isn't. So I think we're going to be just fine as long as, the rain doesn't really play too much of a role in what's going to happen. So I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm ready. I'm just ready for it already. Realistically, that's all I'm going to be ready for. Is just that one game.
Derrick Henry, the last time the Bills and Titans faced off was the Monday night game 2 years ago in Buffalo, where he had 13 attempts. He only rushed for 25 yards. He did score a touchdown. So the only other game that you could say that he dominated was that one game the year prior was the 20 attempts for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. This game, the time before that, I mean, they almost play practically almost every year since 2018. He played in 2018 against he yes. I just realized that. I'm looking at his stats now. The Bills have faced off against Derrick Henry almost every single year except last year.
Really?
Yeah, they played in
Wha-
2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023. They did not play in 2023, and here we are in season 2024. So Derrick Henry has faced the Bills in every single season except last year.
Incredible. So at that point, then you'd probably expect Sean McDermott to have a trick or two up his sleeve to stopping Derrick Henry.
Mhm.
If that's actually the case and you've played, for if he's played against you for that many years in a row, only really missed 1 year, yeah, I have a very good feeling that Coach McDermott's going to have a plan already up his sleeve.
That honestly just gives me the idea is that, as much as the rain could play a factor in this game, and you know with Lamar Jackson and Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. how that could favor the Jaguars, my goodness, the Ravens in that
Thank you.
way.
We
The
need the
Bills have
Jags
an
to
upper
do something.
hand the Bills have an upper hand against Derrick Henry because they've seen him so many times already. They already know how to stop Derrick Henry. Yes, that was a Derrick Henry in Tennessee, but how much different is the Ravens using Derrick Henry as what Tennessee used him against what maybe 5, 6 times against the Bills?
Mhm.
I don't think they're using Derrick Henry's in a different way.
I mean, again, that was those years were more of Derrick Henry in his absolute beast years,
Hmm.
more of his prime. He's definitely fell off just a little bit like every player usually does because of age. So, he's still really good. He still needs to be game planned for efficiently, but yeah, I can already see that Coach McDermott will definitely inform Joe Brady on or well, yeah, that too. But
Yeah,
he'll inform Bobby Babich on the best way to slow him down. I actually
absolutely.
I know I didn't mean to say Joe Brady, but that actually is a good point though, because you could use the lessons in stopping Derrick Henry and apply that to how James Cook should run the football against Baltimore's defense. Because
Another
you gotta keep them off their toes. Or you
you
gotta
do.
keep them, well, technically on their toes, but off them works too if you happen to throw a guy down with a powerful stiff arm.
And, you know, the matchups in this game makes it a fun game to watch. You get Derrick Henry against the Bills defensive seven, and you get the Bills offense against, the front seven of the Baltimore Ravens, and how, Joe Brady, has to game plan for this. Honestly, when we were on the show Tuesday and we were talking about this game, I completely forgot that the rain could possibly be a factor in this game. So I'm sitting here like thinking like game planning for this game, is on a dry surface, and the Bills should be able to run their entire offense. Now with the rain and with the 70% chance of rain on Sunday, it flips the game plan just a slightly. I don't think it completely like destroys a regular game plan, because the way Joe Brady has used his offense, the short passing game and how the Bills have ran the football, efficiently through the first three weeks of the game. I don't think the weather, plays like a really big role on this offense. Like maybe this was a Ken Dorsey offense or a Brian Dable offense where it was a pass heavy offense. Yeah, I would be sitting here nervous to see what the Bills do in a rain game. But for the first 3 weeks of the season, I've seen enough where I'm like, okay, we're not going to have to pass the ball 25, even in the rain, we don't have to pass the ball 30, 40 times. Josh Allen, at one point, I think it was week 2, he only threw it 19 times. So, if that's the Josh Allen we get, the Bills won that game 31-10 in Miami. So I feel confident. The another matchup to watch is the Bills' weapons versus the Ravens' stingy and versatile secondary.
Ooh, yeah, you got a good point there. Freaking Marlon Humphrey. That man,
Anything that catches your eyes on the Ravens secondary, against, the Bills' weapons, they have so many of them. You can't
yeah,
guard them all.
no, you
They
can't.
run a heavy cover four. They run a lot of cover four in Baltimore, so that could open up, again, Dalton Kincaid. It could possibly open Curtis Samuel just a little bit. Possibly Khalil Shakir again has another monster game. Where do you
That'd be
kind of
nice.
sit at with the Bills' offense against the secondary of the Ravens?
So, this is actually a fairly interesting thing to point out, but uh, if you're talking specifically the Ravens defense, if it's raining a lot, I really can't see many pass attempts. But
Mhm.
if for whatever reason it doesn't rain that hard or it doesn't rain at all, I actually think that there's potential you could see I think what'll be interesting is I'll have to look a little more, see exactly who's gonna probably be where on the field during the game, because I would imagine they put Marlon Humphrey on either Kincaid or Shakir because there's literally no way that they're gonna have enough bodies to guard everyone because you have to
Mhm,
not only make sure Shakir and Kincaid don't get away, but you have to make sure Allen doesn't just absolutely torch you with his legs if he has no opening. Or in a split package, you have Curtis Samuel out of the backfield, or you even have a guy like Dawson Knox take a rep in place of Kincaid, like we've seen him do countless times already this season. So I don't really think that there's a very favorable matchup for the Ravens secondary there. I think what they're probably going to have to do is they're going to have to, they might float Marlon Humphrey around a little bit. Maybe put him on Kincaid until Brady can kind of adjust. And then once Shakir goes off, you put him on Shakir. But if it's going to be the type of game I think it's going to be, you won't see many passing yards or many passing attempts. And in that
mhm.
case, they'll probably try to stuff the box because at that point, it's like, the run's coming. Can you stop it or not? And if you can, good for you. If you can't, yeah, I got some concerns about your team then. So that's that pretty much. It'll be interesting to see what kind of secondary moves the Ravens come out with and then what adjustments they make depending on how Brady counters the initial presentation of the uh you know what I mean. Words
Yeah.
are a little interesting.
We all struggle with words sometimes, but, like you said, I don't think this game turns into a pass-heavy offense for the Bills. No, the same for the
God, calm down out there.
wind picking up.
Yeah, I just heard it against my freaking house. Calm down out there.
We have a show to finish here. Hold up.
Yeah, for
But
real.
anyways, I don't think this turns into a pass heavy game like you said. I think limited pass attempts you will see. Only way I would see the Bills pass more often is if their offensive if they stack the box and the Bills can't run inside and the Bills can't get some sort of outside run game going, that's where you probably would see a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage, as you saw against Jacksonville. You would probably see that a little bit more often. You probably would see some halfback pitches, RPO type of game from the Bills offense if they couldn't get the run game going. You know, the yes, the Bills only averaged 4.6 yards on per rush against the Jaguars, but that was also helped from a long run. So the Bills' run game really didn't get going against the Jaguars, based on how the Jaguars were playing defense, but how they attacked the rest of the game, even though they couldn't get the run game going, was a lot of short passes. The RPO was working. The play
Mhm.
action was also in a rhythm too. So if the Bills can't particularly run the football, I think they are still okay. But let's flip this the other way. Say the rain doesn't really play much of an impact in this game, or it doesn't impact the players as much as we think it could. And it turns into a shootout.
Oh
Do you
god, please
think the
don't.
Ravens can keep up with the Bills if this
No.
turns into a shootout?
No. If this turns into a shootout, what are we doing? Because if it's going to turn into a shootout, then you're telling me Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball accurately a lot. Like I'm talking a lot if this turns into a shootout. Or we just flat out can't stop the run and Allen's having to go shot for shot with them.
Mhm,
If this was a shootout, I'd be a little concerned for our own run defense because that's the only way I really see it going to a shootout. Yeah,
mhm,
Lamar is a great quarterback and he does have a good arm, but it's not an arm that's going to worry anybody, not like Josh Allen's arm. So if the game turned into a shootout, which it very well could. I feel like it would
Okay.
probably be as a result of the Ravens' stout run game against our kind of questionable run defense. I mean, you saw what James Conner did to us in week 1. Then you saw what Achan did to us in week 2. And
Mhm.
we got it together. We got it together in week 3 against ETN. So we'll have to see exactly how we can do against not only one of the better backs in Derrick Henry, but one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league with Lamar Jackson. Because we definitely struggled a little bit against Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray, I'd argue, is a little more nimble. Like, he's electric. He can
Mhm.
change things on the fly with his legs. He's a little faster, I believe. Good God. Now I'm getting freaking tree branches hitting my window. But
Yikes.
exactly my point, though.
Mhm.
If we learned from Kyler Murray, then I think we'll be fine in containing Lamar Jackson.
I agree. If this game turns into a shootout, I'm definitely worried about the Bills' run defense, going on. Like, why can't we stop Derrick Henry based on how many times we faced him? And, like, what's going on? What's the game plan here? And if the Bills come in with a similar game plan as they did against Arizona, I would be a little wary on how we stop the run of the Ravens because if we kind of use that game plan, it could cause trouble because Kyler Murray was able to escape multiple times. That means if Lamar Jackson, sits back and he gets the opportunity to scramble, that's going to pick up, even more yards for the Ravens. To either continue drives or to continue drives or possibly put them in scoring areas where the Bills don't want them. So if this game does turn into a shootout, it's only because of the Ravens' run game going haywire against the Bills' defense, which kind of don't see, but
I
it
don't
could
either.
happen. If this game does turn into a shootout, the Ravens do not keep up, and I think it turns out in a Bills rout of the Ravens.
Oh
That's kinda
God, if
how
we
I feel. If the Ravens want this game to be a shootout, they're not keeping up because I don't see them passing the football well enough to go toe to toe with Josh Allen. And if the Bills' run defense can hold or contain Derrick Henry, which they have countless times, except for that one game where he went 143 yards against the Bills defense. Okay, I see the Bills. I still don't see the Ravens keeping up with the Bills if they want to turn this game into a arms match between Allen and Lamar. I
I'm
can't see
telling,
it.
what are the excuses that people are going to make about Baltimore if the Bills happen to just boat race them on Sunday night? Like, can you imagine the excuses? This team wasn't that good. They lost to the Raiders. Oh, Lamar Jackson's not that good. He just won his third
I
MVP,
think
by the
it
way.
I think it flips. I think they will blame it on the three pieces they lose on their offensive line.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
They
Okay. You know
lose.
what? Yeah.
That's what it would be Monday morning. It's the Ravens don't have the offensive line as they did the year prior. They had three guys, all were starters, and they lost three of them. And to mention, as I mentioned before, the Ravens offense only averaging 23 points per game. The Bills are averaging 37. That's that's I believe if I doing my mental math right, that's almost 14 points more or about 13 points more than what the Ravens are averaging this season. So, if we're just going point but based on points per game, the Bills should win by at least 2 scores, even though they're underdogs by 2.5 entering the game.
Huh? You repeat that. They're what?
Bills are 2.5 points underdogs
There ain't no
entering Sunday.
way. How on God's green earth are you going to call the Bills underdogs after they have absolutely dominated their last two opponents and the Ravens lost to the Raiders? It's got to be just because they're playing at home. It's got to be.
It
There
it
ain't
is.
no way. Yeah, there ain't no way. Like I'm just sitting there going, "What? My
Yeah.
God."
Fuel for the fire for Josh Allen
Yeah,
and
give
the
him even
Bills.
more fuel for the fire like he doesn't already have enough.
Alright, give me
Oh,
a key to
man.
the game.
A key? Oh, okay. A key to the game. Well, the obvious. I'm going to give you the obvious key to the game. Contain Lamar Jackson and don't let him run. If you contain Lamar Jackson and you force him to play like a more traditional pocket passer, you're going to be just fine. Or if you put enough pressure on him that you force him into making mistakes, you're going to be just fine because he's quite good at that. You put him you put enough pressure on him and he will either cough the ball up or he's going to force a very unfortunate turnover in the critical moments of the game.
Mhm,
So there you have it. My key to the game is probably the same as most people's key to the game
mhm.
is just
It's an
contain
important
Lamar
key.
Jackson. Contain Lamar Jackson, but if you want me to give you a second key to the game because I feel like I gave you the obvious first one, stop Derrick Henry. And if that was a little too obvious, then I would say a third key to the game would be basically to continue to keep James Cook fed as much as possible. James
Yeah.
Cook has been absolutely lighting the league on fire the last 3 weeks, and he needs to keep it up because if he keeps it up, then we are going to be in tip top shape against the Ravens defense. But like I said, I'll have to actually look up more of the advanced stats later to formulate a real opinion, which then said real opinion will be posted on Buffalo Lowdown or Bills on Sports Central or Sports Illustrated. But
Sports Central.
I don't even know.
Uh,
But anyway,
the
that was what I thought would have been more accurate for keys to the game.
My key to the game is going to go to the offensive side of the football, and it's going to be get off to a fast start. You got off to a fast start last week. You got off to a fast start week 1, week 2. Those games both turned into Bills blowout wins. You get off to a fast start on offense. You get off to a fast start on defense. You get a few stops, and you're able to score on offense the first maybe two, maybe three drives, and you stop Baltimore maybe two out of their first three drives. The Bills might turn in this game into what they did against Miami week 2. Not as much as it did against Jacksonville in week 3, because I think Jacksonville's defense is just really bad, and the Ravens defense is way more better than what the Jags did what the Jags did last week against the Bills. So
But
you get
much.
off to a fast start. I think the Bills turned this into a favorable win. You just got to start fast. I don't want to see a slow start, because you will if you start slow, that allows the Ravens to get into their game plan and allows them to start going down the field, scoring points, get their run game going. You got to start fast. You got to stop them on offense, and you got to score on offense. It doesn't matter if there's rain. It doesn't matter if there's sun. You just got to get going quick.
That's what's called game planning, Paul. When the rain comes or whatever it may be, if there's a literal tornado outside of the field, you got a game plan for that, which we all know they wouldn't play in a tornado, but it's not Florida. We might, but
You might. All right, player to watch.
player to
Who is one
watch.
player you're watching this weekend?
I am going to think outside of the box on this one because everybody would obviously be like, "Oh, James Cook, see how he does against the Ravens run defense." But I have a better one for you. I think this one's actually going
Yeah.
to be a little more interesting because I have an
Okay.
obvious answer. And I'll just give you the obvious answer right now, and it's Groot. I feel like he's about to
Hmm.
feast on some backup O linemen on an already weak offensive line. But if you want my actual player to watch, it might be a little bit of a shocker. You wouldn't really think I'd say something like this, but I'm gonna be watching Damar Hamlin. And the reason I say
Mhm.
Damar Hamlin is because we already saw what happened when he got his first career interception. You saw how happy he was. You saw how the team rallied around him after he got the interception. I feel like he'd want to keep that up. You know, take more of that positive momentum into his next game and only use that to build and become better as a player. And I feel like if he has another big game against Baltimore on Sunday night, then people might start talking more about DeMar the player rather than DeMar the guy that almost, collapsed.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's who I'm going to be watching is DeMar Hamlin. And honestly, I really hope DeMar has another great game. That would just be incredible. But those are that's my outside the box player to watch. I already gave my not so outside the box player to watch. You could realistically put Ed Oliver there too, or
You
Von
could.
Miller, anybody on the pass rush.
I'm gonna go with one of the players that you just mentioned. I'm gonna go Von Miller,
Oh yeah,
for the player to watch.
he's
Just
back.
he's back. He's we've mentioned him a few times on this show, on Counter Sticks or whatever it is on the regular show as well, is he's back. Von Miller, the closer, is back.
Hey, we
He
don't use
had
that nickname.
last week against Jacksonville, he closed the game. He had a great fourth down sack. The week prior, he did the exact same thing on fourth down. Came in, he got in a fourth down sack, and that's two of the four sacks I believe he has this season have came on fourth downs. Just
Oh, you know what?
flawless.
You have given me a good point to think about. I believe Von Miller has registered at least one sack in the first 3 games this season. The
Mhm.
last time he did that was in 2021. May I remind you what team he was on in 2021 and where that team went? Think about it for a
Was
second.
that Bal- none Baltimore? That was
Oh dear God, that would have been
Denver.
hilarious if he did that. No, no, that was well after his Denver years. No, that he did it in 21 when he was with the Rams.
Yes, the Rams. The Rams.
He started that year is the year he started with Denver, but then got traded to the Rams, and the Rams went
Okay.
on to win the Super Bowl. So, any positive momentum for the Bills to get to the Super Bowl, we'll just take it. We'll take all of it.
That's a cool little stat that you got there.
I got
That
plenty of
I
them,
mean,
but I'll have even more once I do more in-depth searching on the game itself, kind of see what matchups we're going to be presented with, see where else to watch. And first, I have to make it through a hurricane.
you do.
And it's like, oh, that's a big one. Yeah, I'm on the other side of the coast, and it's still going to be a big one. But anyway, did you have another topic? I believe,
No,
Paul,
that was it.
or that was it?
That was it.
All right, cool, cool. But yeah, this was fun. I'm literally out here, not even thinking about the hurricane outside because I'm just talking about this game, and I'm
You had
excited.
enough power to do it. So
Yeah, and my window made it. Freaking thing, I hear
your
the tree
window made
branches
it.
hitting the window. That thing ain't that strong. It's been hit already, but uh no, I will
Put a
most
board or
likely
two on it, you should be all right.
it's too late now. The storm's already here. I'd have to go outside in that, and I'm not doing it for a board to board up my window. But
You got a surfboard behind you. That should do it.
I am not boarding up my window with that surfboard. Thank you very much. That is a good board. But anyway, W I will literally just be locked in for the Bills game all day. I'm not even probably gonna watch much of the afternoon, uh, early afternoon and late afternoon games, mostly
Yeah.
because I'll probably be live commentating the NASCAR race at Kansas because I'm gonna be on edge all day for that, and if I'm on edge enough, then I might as well commentate it, and
There you go.
that'll lead us right into the Bills game. So, Uh, that was all that I had. Paul, did you have anything that you were gonna drop on my head at the last possible minute?
No, that's really about it. That I had in store for the Bills. Just note that the Bills' run defense allows 118 yards per game, and the Ravens' offense run game averages about 203 yards of run game of rushing yards per game. So that is the key matchup to watch. Bills front seven against the front five and Lamar Jackson and uh Derrick Henry. That's the key matchup to watch. The Bills can do that. The Bills are in good hands to beat
Mhm.
the Ravens and move to 4-0.
Good
But with
God.
that,
Fire me up.
we'll see you. We'll with that we'll see you on a Tuesday on our on our new time at 7:30. At well, same time, different day.
Same time,
Same
different
time,
day.
same time, different day. So we don't run into Monday Night Football on Mondays. It gives us some time to also process the Bills game on that Sunday. Gives us some good takes into on a Tuesday, but hopefully that Tuesday is when the Bills are 4-0 and the vibes continue to stay high because they are right now the highest they've ever really been
Oh, the
so
highest I've
far
seen in
through
a long time. I mean, you
absolutely.
got the team playing Mr. Brightside on the field because they're
The
that
bet
hyped that they were destroying somebody.
the best Mr. Brightside ever. I mean, the way the Bills did Mr. Brightside on Sunday might be better than Michigan's.
Oh, gee, yeah. You know what? I I still wish they would have done a FSU style war chant when Keon Coleman got that first touchdown. I would have lost my mind. But let's also go ahead and wrap it up so we can get to the Thursday night football game, even though it's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be a disaster. Um, you didn't have anything else. Yes, be sure to catch us on Tuesdays at 7:30. The vibes might be really, really high or back down to earth. So we'll see what we got going on Tuesday night at 7:30. I'm going to go make more hurricane preparations, even though it's already here, and go Bills.
Go Bills.